know there was a spirit breathed into us because in Surah 38, Ayah 72, it says the spirit that Allah breathed into us, and it uses the same word as it does here, the ruh. So therefore, Qadr is like a new year for our souls, has the spirit descending to give you a new start and like a new life. So the 5th verse says, Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. So salam means peace, and I think there are three different types of peace. So the first type of peace is internal peace, which is basically peace within yourselves, peace within your heart. And in Surah Ra'd, Ayah 28, it says that hearts find peace in remembrance of Allah. Another type of peace is external peace. So this could be peace around the world, as we're trying to make peace in Israel and Palestine right now. And another peace is radiating peace. So as the sun radiates its light, we should radiate our peace and spread our peace everywhere. And then it says the dawn breaks. So the dawn breaks is like a beginning of a new day or a new year. And Prophet Muhammad also said that look for the night of Qadr on the last odd nights of Ramadan. So maybe Qadr could be one of the odd nights where your heart feels most at peace. An overview of this surah is that Surah Qadr is a surah with phenomenal energy, and it's a cosmic surah to do with creation, and talks about a night which affects the whole of humanity. So this is the most noble surah revealed to the most noble prophet at the time in the most noble book. This surah brings peace and affirms the magnificence of the Quran. This night is better than 1,000 months, as it says in Ayah 3. So this just shows how powerful this night is, and that we should take this to our advantage. One benefit of this surah, of this night, is that whoever stays up on the night of Qadr gets all of his past sins forgiven. Salawat.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hussein. Can we please, before we start and I call upon Shaykh in a few minutes, can we please request all the children to just sit with their parents during the program, just to avoid disturbing the speaker and the audience. We are expecting a lot more people. You do have audio streaming in the conference room, so for the younger audience, if they need to run around, make a bit of noise, stretch their legs, please feel free to use the conference room. Polite reminder, not for right now, but for later on, no food or drink is allowed in the chapel apart from water. So when we come back afterwards for the spiritual night, please only water in the chapel. Thank you. And can I please ask you all to just move forward? There's a lot of space at the front. We always end up with a lot of people crammed at the back. So please, if I can all ask you to just come as far forward as possible, please. Thank you. And if I can now call upon Shaykh for his talk, please. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ahli bayti at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Now, before we start, two things. One thing is that we were requested on the other night when Dr. Shaykh was carrying out his Quran discussion circle in the conference room, that if you could have your Quran with you today, even if it's the electronic form or you have your phone, that will make it much easier for you to follow the talk as it goes on today. That's the first thing. The second thing is that my talk is, in addition to what John just said, the talk today is heavily dependent on what you can see on the screen. So if you're not sitting here, you're not going to get much from it. So if you can really move into this square space here, that's going to be ideal. So if you can even those who need the chairs, if we can assist those people who need the chairs to bring the chairs forward, we can move them back again when we need to pray the salat. But in the meantime, if you can't see the screen, then that would detract from your talk experience. So I'll just give you a minute there to move as far forward as possible so that you can get a good view of the screen. Wait 10 seconds for the late. We'll wait 10 seconds for the latecomers like Maryam to walk in. All right. So the advertised title of today's talk was, what does Surah 53 verse 39 actually mean, or what is it actually saying? Surah Najm, this verse, as you can see from the screen, the verse says, وَأَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. And the translation of the verse, you can see also that I've left it incomplete. It says, and that man, depending on which translation you're referring to, and that man has nothing except what he, and then I put ... there, and I haven't translated the rest of it, because sa'a, the word in yellow on the slide right now, is the word we're concentrating on, and we're trying to delve into what is this actually saying at all. So, sa'a is the yellow word at the end there, so that's the word we're concentrating on now. Sa'a. Right, we heard a few nights ago from Dr. Aliyoza Bojani's excellent presentation, and he was talking about rahmah at the time, right? And we remember him saying that when you have a word in Arabic, like rahmah that he was talking about, it's very difficult to translate that into one English word because it doesn't quite capture the meaning fully at all. So when we use mercy for rahmah, doesn't really do it justice at all. And then he had a whole half an hour plus presentation on telling us and elaborating what rahmah actually is. And then we got a better understanding of it. Similarly, when we look at sa'a in the Quran, and depending on what your translation says, you have some idea of what it means, but does that capture the word fully? Let's delve into it. So some of you may be aware that the words and the verbs and nouns in Arabic stem from 3 root letters. In this case, for sa'a, the 3 root letters we're talking about are the sin, the ain, and the ya. So when we look at these 3 root letters, we're going to go through some verses of the Quran and see where it's been used, what it means, so we can have, from the Quran itself, a whole kind of understanding of what sa'a actually might mean. So we're looking at these 3 letters, sa'a, and the words coming from these letters, where they are used in the Quran and how they are used in the Quran. Now, liven things up a bit, we're going to go through the verses, right, of where this is used in different forms, verbs and nouns. I'm going to put the reference for the verse up first. This is a bit arbitrary. Whoever shouts out first, I hear them shouting out first, the surah name, when the surah first comes up, gets a little goodie from my bag here. So, when the address of the reference first comes up, whatever surah it is, if you shout the name of the surah, whoever I hear, sorry, if you shout it first, I don't hear you, sorry, that's too bad. Whoever I hear and see them shout it out first, gets the goodie. Okay, so here we go, 3, 2, 1. The first one is... Who was that? Was it Hussein? I'll give it. And Hussein done such an excellent presentation just now, so you get the first goodies. Go on, catch. All right, so first one was Surah Baqarah, right? What is the verse? وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى, and here's the word sa'a. So it's chapter 2, 205. Sa'a fil ardi liyufsida fiha. The English says, and when he turns back, he runs along. Now I don't know what your different translations say, but something to that effect, right? He runs along in the land that he may cause mischief. So I'm going to create a little bank on the left hand side. This little box here is my bank, and we're going to put it all the different translations we have of these 3 root letters in the Quran and put them into the bank. So the first one we're talking about, let's say runs along. So let's shove that into the bank. So now we've got, the first one we have is runs along. Okay, are we ready for the next verse? Oh, look at eyes peeled, eyes peeled. Who's going to get chocolates? Remember, by the way, Hussein, you cannot eat them in the chapel, as we just heard. So just remember that before I get in trouble. All right? Someone said it. Someone from there said it first. Someone from there said it. Who was it? It was Hanan, was it? Catch. Right, Yasin. Where is this used in the Quran then? Or in Surah Yasin, verse number 20. In Surah Yasin, Allah says, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ. Okay, so this is the verb now being used. And depending on how it's translated in your Quran. And from the furthest part of the city, Aqsa al-Madina, a man came, yas'a. He came. Okay, so let's put running into the word bank as well. That's our next one. Now people are paying attention because they know chocolate is at stake. All right. No, there. Gotta be louder. You gotta be louder if you want me to hear you. So people sitting in the back are already at disadvantage. It's your fault. I did tell you to move forward. So, right. Where is it using Surah Al-Hashr? يوم ترى المؤمنين والمؤمنات يسعى نورهم بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم. The day, of course, day of judgment, when you shall see believing men and believing women, mu'mineen and mu'minat, their light, their nur, يسعى بين أيديهم. So the nur is flowing, again depending, flowing or in a certain direction, going towards that place. Again, let's put that in the word bank for another use of the word. So flowing or pointing towards. He says, بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ, in front of them, وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ, from their right side. So we can understand some kind of meaning of yas'a here. Alright, now loud. I'm going to look that way. I'm looking this way to see who goes first. Okay. You know what? Yeah. So I'm going to have to... You were one. Definitely Hussein, I think you were one as well. Wait, there's more coming, don't worry. Surah Baqarah, but this time 260. What does the verse say? ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ يَأْتِينَكَ سَعْيًا. Then, sa'ya is the word at the end we're looking at here. Then call out to them, they will come. Ooh, now this time means flying to you. Bonus question. What is this talking about? Who's going to come flying to where? Mahdi had his hand up. Ooh, not quite. Allah, no, someone said Allah, it's not Allah either. Allah doesn't come. Hand at the back there. Not angels. Call out to, Muhammad had his hand up. No, you put your hand up, now you got to answer. Yes, which birds? Which crows? Yeah, can you go and give it to Muhammad, please? Excellent. So when Nabi Ibrahim was asking Allah, how will you raise the dead to life again? Allah told him, chop up 4 birds, put them in 4 different mountain tops, and when you call out to them, ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ, call out to them, and they will come to you flying. Okay, so another sa'ya, another word for sin, ayn and ya being used here. So let's put that in the bank as well. Right. I've never seen the chapel so quiet during a talk. Oh, what a hero, Ammar. Ammar's a hero. Brilliant. There was no doubt there. No, you're allowed to cheat, it's fine. You're allowed to look at your thing. You just have to shout out first. So Jum'ah, where does it say in Surah Al-Jum'ah? This exchange it with me afterwards. Or with someone else. Alright, where does it say this in the Quran? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha nudiya, when it's called to the prayer, lis-salat min yawm al-jum'ati fas'aw ila dhikrillah. So it's another derivative of this word. Rush to the remembrance of Allah when the Jum'ah prayer is called for. Rush, let's put it in the bank. Someone there, who was it? No. So it was someone there. Was it Hussein? Hussein, you're going to get fat by the end of this, I'm just saying. Catch? Okay. What does it say here in Surah Taha? فَأَلْقَاهَا فَإِذَا هِيَ حَيَّةٌ تَسْعَى. When Musa alayhi salam threw down his staff and he saw it, a moving hayya is a serpent. Remember the hayya, in the Quran, serpent or snake is mentioned 3 different ways in the Quran. 3 ways. We have Jan, we have Hayya, we have Thu'ban. Hayya word is used when something, what else, what other word do you know in Arabic that comes from the word, well, that sounds like hayya? Huh? Someone said it. Hayat means what? Life. This means this thing is a very lively thing. Hayyatun tas'a means it's moving very energetically and lively. So, but the word tas'a itself means it is moving. So let's put it in the bank. Okay, next verse coming up. Hussein, really good at this. Give someone else a chance. Otherwise it's bad for your teeth. And that was easy because it was the same one as last time, isn't it? So if someone didn't get that, all right. Where else is it in Surah Taha? Actually a similar place where now we're looking at the magicians. When they threw down their strings and their sticks, when the Musa came to challenge them, or they challenged Nabi Musa, فَإِذَا حِبَالُهُمْ وَعِصِيُّهُمْ يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. When they threw their things down, you remember, and what happened to Musa alayhi salam at this stage? When he saw the snakes, or well, it wasn't snakes, the strings and the sticks wriggling. Now, tas'a here means wriggling around like snakes. What happened to Nabi Musa when he saw this happen? What does the Quran say immediately? He got? Right, so he got scared. Oh, just fi nafsihi khifatan Musa. Musa got afraid at this point. And Allah said, don't worry, you're going to win this contest. So, more than just moving, here, they were moving in a way that Musa alayhi salam became afraid. So more life in this snake than just moving, wriggling into that bank as well. Next verse coming up. So we're through about past halfway mark on the verses. Remember, these are not everywhere the word with sin, ayn and ya is used in the Quran. We're just taking a collection of them. You said it there second, but someone said it there first. Catch. All right. What does it say in Surah 37:102? فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ. So when he reached the age of sa'i with him, when he could do sa'i with him now, when he could do work with him, then he said, oh my son. Bonus question. What are we talking about here? Who are we talking about here? Someone said Prophet Ibrahim doing what? What? Huh? Yes. So when his Nabi Ibrahim's son Ismail reached the age when now he's old enough to do sa'i with him, means he can come out to work with him now, that means he's mature enough physically, then Nabi Ibrahim said, oh yeah, sorry, that was a bonus question, you get a goodie. Nice catch. Right. Then he said to him, Ya bunayya, I saw in my dream, anni azbahuk, that I'm slaughtering you, fandur mada tara. What do you see? Okay, so now, sa'i here means work. He was old enough to work with him now. Put it in the bank. All right. I think we've got 3 more in that space. 3 or 4 more. Here we go, next one. Someone said, someone there. Right. I can't throw that one to the back, so someone's going to have to deliver these goodies to the back there, please, someone. Or can catch? Yeah. I can't throw, that's the problem. You can catch, I can't throw, that's the problem. Alright, in this surah, number 19, where is this word used? Whoa, 3 times in this one verse. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَالسَّعَى. First of all, لَهَا سَعْيَهَا. So twice already. وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. And all those ways. So whoever desires the hereafter and strives for it, the way it should be striven, is that a word, striven? The way it should be striven for, and he's a believer, then those are the kind of people whose striving will be appreciated. So strive, let's put that in the bank. I think 2 more, right? I don't think we'll fit 3 in there. 2 more. Someone said something. Zainab, catch, you can deliver it. Alright, so the Hajj, where is it? Number 51, what does it say? وَالَّذِينَ سَعَوْا في آياتنا معاجزين أولئك أصحاب الجحيم. Of course, this is sa'i, not in a good way. Those, it says, and those who strive against our communications, against our signs, Allah is saying. But again, the word is still strive. Well, we got strive in there already, so that's just going to add to it. So maybe two more now. I saw you're going to get proper fat now. Well, the fact that it's been up twice already should have helped some people. But anyways, what's the verse? What is it saying? Inna sa'ata, indeed the hour of reckoning, the day of judgment, atiyatun is coming, akadu ukhfiha, litujza kullu nafsin bima tas'a. So the hour is coming that Allah is going to show us very soon for every soul to be recompensed for what it tried, endeavored, attempted, worked hard on. We'll put endeavored into that as well. Last one. Otherwise you can go to Aldi on the way home and get some chocolates for yourself. It's a bit late now, isn't it? Chocolate! Alright. Okay, two verses here, 8 and 9. On the second one, of course, the word we're concerned about is mentioned. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاعِمَةٌ لِسَعْيِهَا رَاضِيَةٌ. Faces on that day will be happy, pleased with their efforts. So that's the last word going into our word bank. So now we've got this, by the collection of verses we've looked at, we've got the different ways. Okay, some of them are kind of similar, right? Striving, endeavor, effort, work is kind of there as well. So those that family of last four ones kind of move together. We've got moving, wriggling, rushing. What can we get from this sa'i in the Quran? What kind of themes can we pull out of this word bank? If we got something which is energetic and lively, the way the snakes were wriggling and moving. Remember the man in Surah Yasin came from the furthest part of the city, running. So there's lots of energy there. We've got lots of exerting effort there. But not only that, like the man who came from the furthest part of the city, he didn't just was running in any direction. No, he had a purpose. He had to tell the people that listen to these prophets, the men of God. He came with a purpose. The birds came running towards Nabi Ibrahim when he called them back from the mountains. So there was direction there. So if we use all of these themes, we can see sa'i is used in the Quran to mean energetic and lively. That kind of connotation it has to it. Exerting effort, that was a huge theme there, especially in the last few verses. The movement and that kind of energy has to be purposeful. It's not just random or arbitrary. No, it has a purpose, like the birds in a certain direction, or the light flowing from the believers' faces or on their right sides. And it has a directional movement to it. We're going in a certain direction. So, if we take all of these themes and try and put it as one sentence, sa'i can mean working hard to progress. So we're working hard to progress from one place to another place, to a better place. So progress, of course, the word progress means, which is just not movement, it's movement for something better, right? Okay, so if we use this meaning for sa'i, and now we look back at our verse that we started with. And I have a problem here with lots of translations that end up, so I don't know which translations you're referring to, but I have a problem with quite a few of them. Because if we look at the likes of Shakir, Yusuf Ali Pictol, this is, and even Quli Qara'i Yadin, this is the way they translate it, which is not incorrect obviously completely, but doesn't quite catch it. And that man shall have nothing but what is, especially where a big problem I have is this word in all the translations, strives for. The word for isn't there in the verse at all. It's an interpretation of the translator saying it's implied, of course, man will have what he strives for. The word for isn't there. Man will actually have what he strives. So not what strives for, the striving itself. Right? Do you get that? Not what he strives for, something else. It's the striving itself. But not only the striving, if we work on what we had said in our more wholesome translation, and that man has nothing except what he does to work hard to progress from one place to the next. This is what man has nothing but. But if we look at this working hard to progress from one place to the next, working hard. That means hard work. It means toil. It can mean suffering as we work hard. And it means we won't get the good rewards just now. It means we're deferring the gratification, means the enjoyment we get. We're putting that off because we're working hard right now, right? When you work hard, when a farmer works hard in the field, you would think the enjoyment is where the crops grow at the end. But right now, that enjoyment is being deferred. And there's hardship. So we don't like this. So why is Allah saying that man doesn't get anything except sa'a? That's the last thing we want. What do we want? We want, if Allah doesn't give us any reward, well, we know what all the pleasures of this world are like. We've experienced them. Food and what have you. We want these things. And that's what Allah is trying to entice us in the Quran by saying you'll have food and honey and milk and gardens beneath which rivers flow and hurul ain and that's some enticement, but that's the kind of thing we've become accustomed to liking. The problem with those kind of gratifications in this world, as we know because we've experienced them all, they're short term. They don't really fulfill us because once we've had it, we want more. And that's why they become addictive. So those of you who are chocoholics, I hope you didn't win in the thing. But once you have the first chocolate, you're not satisfied, you want the next one. And then, sorry parents, by the way. Obesity for the kids and dental treatment. But anyways, the other thing about these kind of pleasures in this world is we want them, and we go after them, and then over in a few seconds or a few minutes or a few hours, depending how long we take to eat iftar, it's over. And then that didn't last very long. I waited all that time and then it was over. So, the short-term pleasures we get from these things in the world, that's not really happiness, is it? We're never really happy with them. We're never really satisfied with them. They don't fulfill us at all. Especially these two, when I'm thinking about contrasting between the list on the right and the left, deferring gratification to some time later and having it instantly now, but it doesn't last very long. There was an experiment, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. Dr. Walter Mischel in America conducted the marshmallow test or the marshmallow experiment. What did he do? It involved kids between 4 and 8 years old. Took them into a room and they were sitting on one side of the desk. He would sit on the other side of the desk, and just in front of that little girl there is a marshmallow, yummy, juicy, big marshmallow. He would tell the kids, this marshmallow is here. You can have it if you want. But I'm just going into the other room for a few minutes to make a quick phone call, coming back. If that marshmallow is still there and you haven't taken it, I'll give you another marshmallow. So you get 2 now. Only 20% of the kids passed and waited for the next one. Only 20%. 80% couldn't defer that gratification. Well, you put candy in front of kids, you don't expect them to have that self-control. We're supposed to have the self-control, but 4 to 8-year-olds didn't have that. So they went for it. 20% passed that test. 20% deferred the gratification. They went through a bit of hardship, a bit of toil, a bit of suffering, of that marshmallow being right in front of them and not having it. When they got that second marshmallow in the end, think about it. So the kids there, 4 to 8 years old, and they get a second marshmallow. Do you think they're really pleased? Oh yes, I have 2 marshmallows now. First it was only 1. Is that, if you think about it, is that what really pleased the kids? Really? No, I don't think so. If we look at some of the challenges we face in our lives and the toil and the hardship we go through, domestic issues people go through, financial constraints people go through, exam stress, some of the kids here will be going through, GCSEs, A-levels, etc. It's a stressful time, health issues people undergo. Well, a lot of people doing public speaking. Hussein had a wonderful one just now. Maryam done the other day. Zainab done a fantastic one just before that. Yeah. But people in the crowd were telling me they were afraid of public speaking as well. So that was a hard thing to go through. Fasting. Well, we've been fasting the whole day. It's not easy. It's a difficult thing to go through. But when we come through that, when we get past that, when we fasted, when we've given that public talk, when we've finished the exams, is it that, okay, now we're done, thank God the talk's finished and I'm not doing a talk anymore, I'm not in the situation of doing a public talk anymore, is that what makes me happy? Or now I'm not fasting anymore, thank God I can eat and drink, that's what makes me happy, eating and drinking now. Really, is that what makes me happy? If I think about myself, what's made me happy, and we know we have that hadith from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala. He says, وَلِلصَّائِمْ فَرْحَتَانِ. For the person who fasts, there are two delights. One, of course, he experiences when it's time for iftar. But there's something much more to it, is the essence of the hadith, right? That, putting that first date in my mouth, it's not the date which makes me happy. It's the fact that I fasted, I've accomplished. The kids who deferred the gratification of that first marshmallow and went through that trouble, when they got the second one, it wasn't the second marshmallow that really made them happy, it was, I've done this. Yeah, the marshmallow was a token of achievement. When we cycle however many miles or we take part in tournaments, it's not that little plastic golden trophy that makes me happy. That symbolizes I've achieved. It's the achievement that actually makes me happy. So if we look at the fasting as an example, when we come to the iftar, is it really the iftar itself? Maybe it's really good iftar, but it's not just that I'm happy about. And that brings, when I arrive at having finished my public talk, then I'm going to be happy. I'll be happy from then. When I get my next paycheck and I get that promotion that I'm after, then I'll be happy. That's when I'll be happy. When I eat this kebab, then I'm going to be happy. That's my aim in life. In that case, a week later, I wouldn't want doner kebab again. Because when I arrive there, the happiness isn't really in that arrival at all. That's a fallacy of arrival, that when I come to that point X, then I'll be happy. You're never going to be happy there. Because the human condition is not happy with arriving. Doesn't want that. The funny thing is, the human condition is happy with the struggle, with the toil. That's what makes me happy. The fact that I'm working, the fact that I'm endeavoring, the fact that I'm working through this, when I get through it, it's not the arrival there that I'm happy at all with. It's the fact that I'm working through this for progress, that I get the sense of fulfillment at the end when I go through life and its hardships, be it, as we said, domestic or financial or health-wise or wealth-wise or whatever it might be. It's not the fact that I come through them in itself that makes me happy. It's what I've achieved through that. In this life, for me to be happy, it's a silly, facile kind of way of thinking. If I had this tomorrow, I would be happy. Health and wealth, if I had that tomorrow, I'd be happy. You wouldn't. Because you wouldn't have any struggle or toil. That's what makes us happy. It's struggling that makes us happy. And that's all we're going to have in the end. So the public speaking, the exam stress, we spoke about as examples. If we come through that, is it the fact that I don't have to do any more exams now? That's it, I'm done. That's what makes me happy? No. It's a sense of achievement. I worked hard and I came through that. That's the progress through that, the experience of that has made me happy. So when we come to this verse again now, next time, as I'm finishing, and Allah says in the Quran, وَأَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, that man has nothing for himself. Forget for what he strives. No, it's the striving itself, that man has nothing but that. Because when it comes to the hereafter, let's have a thought experiment. Hereafter, there's no heaven and no hell. Allah says, hypothetically speaking, you know what? All that heaven and hell stuff, just forget it. You go through a university, and the university tells you, you know what? There's no qualification at the end of it. It's the top university, but you won't get a certificate to say BA, MA, PhD. There's no certificate at the end of it. There's no qualification. So why am I doing it then? The only reason you do it now is to go through 3 years or 4 years or however many years, and what you've become through that is the reward. Every trial you experience through that university life, whatever you went through, what you've become, there's no certificate, there's no PhD letters after your name, before your name, nothing. You get nothing. What you've become is the reward. If Allah told us that in this life, you're going to go through hardships, as Allah said in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, we're going to definitely test you and try you, بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. We're going to test you with hunger and fear and loss of wealth and loss of life for people around you and loss of your investments and loss of all of that. And when you come through all of that, thanking Allah, struggling through that, believing in Him, relying on Him, after you go through that, there's no heaven and no hell. So, I'm not doing it then. What's the point? The point is heaven and hell. Not that there's no heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is there as a bonus. The reward is not heaven and hell. The reward is nothing. Actually, you get nothing except لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. There is nothing for man except what he or she works hard to progress from one space to the next. That is your reward. What you have become is your ultimate reward. Someone who was cast away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning of life and said, go to earth in this physical realm and toil through that. As in the Hajj time, we have to go through the plains of Arafah. We're right in the Haram. At Allah's house, Allah says, get lost. Be distant from me. And then go through Arafah. Suffer under the sun. Pray. Beseech me. Come on the way back. Throw the stones at the devil. Work your way back. And then you'll appreciate me in a different way. But now in this life, we've been cast all the way down to the earth. Allah saying, you're distant from me. Let's say there was no heaven and no hell. But this process that we're in right now of toiling, of struggling, this is the reward. And actually we've been conditioned, as we said, hardwired as human beings to enjoy this. Were we to be millionaires, billionaires tomorrow and have no difficulties in life from then on, we would be miserable. How many examples have you seen of people who are so well off, unhappy? Because struggle, striving, endeavoring, working hard is what makes me happy. لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. So inshallah, next time when we come through not only this verse, but other times in the Quran where sa'a is used, but especially this kind of verse, we will have a better idea, of a more wholesome idea of what's being said and appreciate it more. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. And because there's no questions. There's no questions. No, really, there's no questions. No, sorry, if there are any questions or any comments, please make them now. Except Shahid, extra reaching. Oh, God.
Shaykh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. You quoted at the beginning 2 verses from Surah Taha, both of which were, the word was tas'a. But you had slightly different, there were slightly different meanings to those. Could you explain how you get to the different meanings linguistically, please?
So if you were to look in the dictionary for this word, Sin, Ain and Ya, you would come across all of these different meanings. But then of course, depending on context, you would translate it accordingly. If you were talking about the man in Surah Yasin, جَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى, you wouldn't say wriggling or making effort. He came running, right? He came running from that far place. If you were to talk about the light of the believers coming from their faces, نُورُهُمْ يَسْعَى بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِ, then you wouldn't say running or wriggling or effort, but it would be to do with flowing. So again, this to do with English, but the word can mean all of these different things. In the context, you would translate it appropriately. So actually, the 2 verses in Surah Taha, one was moving and one was wriggling. Because I just picked up the translation of the Quran. I can't remember if it was Shakir or if it was someone else. I would assume that because, and I mentioned this in the talk as well, because of the following verse where Nabi Musa was frightened, وَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً Musa, it gives us the idea that when the Hibal and the Asiyah, when they were doing so energetically that Musa got taken aback. Although he had already seen before, when Musa cast his stick down, فَإِذَا هِيَ حَيَّةٌ تَسْعَى, Musa already knows, okay, this is a stick, but through Allah's whatever. But when he saw it again, he still got scared. Means there was something a bit more happening now, and I would assume that's why the translator has used wriggling in this way rather than just moving. The moving, he's already seen it before anyway. And there were many of them this time as well, I suppose.
A couple of points. One very light-hearted one. Because you don't quite agree with all the translations, maybe your next project should be to translate the Quran in which way. No, but on a serious note, we should consider it. Because
there are projects like that being done, whereby words are being analyzed. People online, these kind of things being done. Because people recognize, of course, that as Dr. Mujani told us last time, and we've seen today as well, it's difficult to translate. And then you would have a real difficulty having one Quran translation where لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, and then you need half an hour of notes for one word. You have footnotes or commentaries that might help, but to put it as one translation to see how complex it might become. But without that commentary, you can also understand how it detracts from the meaning when you only have access to man doesn't have anything but what he stands for. Kind of doesn't do justice.
you picked up 4 translations, and all of them, as a person who's reading it, it could just take you down a different path from what you said. So,
yeah, on one hand, this is what we have access to. If we have no access to the language, and we're at the mercy of the translation, right? So
that's why I'm saying you should do one. Other thing was the context of the verse. It's about Abraham and the soul should be burdened. Could you just shed a couple of minutes? No? Okay, fine.
I think, Shaykh, if you ask a question, you can answer it yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Just this daughter, she said Surah Al-Hajj before anyone else, so she, yeah. Just this.
Thank you.
Special delivery. No, wait, you pull out my Shaykh so you get started.
Any other? Yeah.
Shaykh, that was probably the most fun translation session we've been to. Yes, please. No, I was just thinking as you were speaking, what is the answer? Is it that to learn Arabic and try to understand the original? What is the answer for us? Because you've got so many different translations for one word. Is it to learn the Arabic language to understand the Quran? But if I try to learn Arabic, I'm still translating from English or from Arabic into English because I haven't learned the meaning of those words in its original form. Or do you overcome that once you learn the Arabic language?
So of course, as you're learning a language, you would become, as you are with English, right? You would become more familiar with the different ways the word is used and what connotations it can have, and therefore when you hear it again, you think, oh, hang on a second. When you hear inflation, your mind might not go straight away to a balloon, but depending if you're talking about economics, it means something else. But it has a connected meaning. That's why they call it the same thing. There's a connected meaning there. So the different connotations it's been using, the same thing goes with the Arabic language. The answer would be, the more familiar we get with the language, the more meanings or the whole kind of understanding would start to pop up. If you're living in an Arab country and think, oh, they use this word just like, this is why they use it here, because it means this. In the Quran I read it like this, but here he's just using it for me to get inside his cab. But you can see the connections there and how it's used and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, of course, we don't have, if we have translations, as we said with Yasser just now, we're at the mercy of the translator's interpretation. That might be limited. Another way we could do, if we have these kind of tools in English that give us a paragraph or two or a page or two for each word, again, that's cumbersome. So back to square A. The language is the best, but it's difficult to learn a new language, but you won't get anywhere unless you struggle and toil with it. So that's going to be your reward.
Shaykh, that was amazing, by the way. Very, very engaging. Just a little thought. Just a little thought. You know, sometimes like I come across people who almost make struggle or staying in struggle an excuse for complacency and say, oh, well, it's supposed to be like that. Is struggle, is strife and everything. Whereas I find that those who struggle in strife, but towards something, what you're talking about, going towards something, an achievement. So it's in that movement and the struggle within that movement. And I think that becomes like a big differentiator between transformation and progress and that sense of accomplishment.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Shaykh, thank you so much. That was amazing. I think what I take from this is we don't need a conference room for the children. Just tell the next speakers to just bring a goodie bag every time and throw chocolates in the audience. Seems to be working quite well. Just for next time, Shaykh, just practice a bit the throwing, yeah. Our next programs are now going to be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. Sadly, it is going to be the last few programs that we have got for this month of Ramadan. Please note that tomorrow evening is the deadline to register. So please have a look at your planning for the next few days, and please make sure you do register for the next few programs. A big thank you to everyone for your donation so far for our Time for Change programs. It is the last few days, so please, we kindly request you to donate generously towards our program. You know the drill. You can do it by card or cash at the entrance. You can do it by PayPal, by bank transfer. To make it easy, you now have got the QR codes on the table as well. At iftar time, you can just scan it and do it from there directly as well. Can I please ask you all to recite the Surah Fatiha for the oppressed people of Palestine and all over the world, for the Marhumin whose names are on the screen just behind me, and for all Marhumins, Al-Fatiha. So, iftar will be served after Maghrib Namaz in the dining room and in the conference room. Can I please ask you all to fill up the dining room first? And obviously, if there is any overflow, we will be serving in the conference room as well. We have got quite a few people today, so please make sure that you do fill up all the tables as you